Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're coming to you live from Akure in Ondo State. We're joined now by His Excellency Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, Governor of Ondo State. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you.
Let's start off with budget. I mean, that's funded. That's where most, if not all the activities has to be funded by. The SSG talked about how the kind of budgetary system that you brought in now, activity-based budgeting. But this year, you submitted a budget of 130 billion to the State House of Assembly. And then we see it represents 38 billion reduction in last year's budget. And then we look at current expenditure and capital expenditure. But we'll come to that. But now that there's that reduction, is this going to affect your plans or developments and how?
There's no question about the fact that given the present global price of oil, which has direct impact on Nigeria's earnings, that the budget this year is thick, as it were. We even base it on the $65 benchmark, which again means that down the road we may have to adjust the budget depending on what the global price dictates. But what we have done is to be project specific, to focus on projects that we can, during the fiscal year, carry to an end. We have decided to focus especially on areas that we have multiplied effect on the economy. But there's no question about the fact that given the circumstances in which we have found ourselves, that our budget is not as ambitious and it's not ordinary people are doing. Of course, that will affect some of our capital projects. But we'll try as much as possible to be focused on projects that I said that will have multiplier effect on the economy. And hoping also, I think the course of the year, because somewhere along the line, I know that every government in Nigeria has to take some hard decisions in terms of how to increase internal revenue. We hope that somewhere along the line, when this reality dawns on us as a nation, we must do something general taxation over, as it were, the country, and see how we can also think of other sources of income other than derived from oil and gas. Looking back, looking forward, we're still optimistic that we'll be able to achieve on some of the projects.
We believe that you must have given this, that alternative method of sourcing funds some thought in terms of raising Nigeria for the states, especially since we're supposed to be in the Federal Republic. When that national conference was going on, there was one very heated part of the conversation there. What are some of your thoughts on your state, where you think that as a state it can be self-sustaining?
Oh, well, let me just say this, that we believe in true federalism, and that means also that some of our resources, we should be able to exploit them directly without reference to the federal government. For example, one of the bold steps taken by the president was the national conference. One of the outcomes was the resolution at that conference that solid minerals should be removed from the exclusive list so that it will be within the boundary of the state, so that states can exploit this and generate revenue directly. I think this will definitely improve on the financial wherewithal status of the states. We also believe that ultimately, a lot of resources, including the revenue formula, and a lot of resources can be brought to the states. Of course, some other additional responsibility. But moving forward, I think with fiscal federalism, the state will be in a better position to be financially buoyant to carry out some of these responsibilities.
Well, I wanted us to look at a bit of what you have shown up, and that's the capital expenditure, which is quite key here, 41% this time. And two key issues come to mind here. We're talking about the Omotosho power plant as well as an airport. We'll look at education pretty much later because I still would want to know how those fantastic.
You see, one of the biggest challenges we have, of course, is youth unemployment. So we are looking at ways to be able to get our youth gainfully engaged. There's issue with industrialization, there's issue with power. And because of the improved regulatory environment as a result of the power roadmap of Mr. President, it's not possible for us to put together our new independent power plant in a captive industrial park. And we are hoping that when we complete this, and we complete that this fiscal year, that will be soon be a major attraction for industry in the state. And this was the independent power plant or a geographically is midway between east and west. It's just about 2-3 hours from Lagos, which is the biggest market in Africa. And we have no doubt in our mind that when we complete this power plant, if we complete this fiscal year, even without completing, even before the completion, a lot of industry are indicating interest in coming to the power plant. Like I tell my people, when we finish in the industries, we work on their own feet in the power plant because of the advantage of the location. If you have your industry in already, you just midway between Lagos and the eastern flank of this country. You don't have to contend with the traffic hazards that you contend with. And we thank St. Jonathan also, that road is looking good now, already to Benin and already Shagamu. So once that power plant is in that captive industrial park, we hope that this will trigger industrialization and provide engagement for our young ones.
Well, yesterday we were in some of the primary health care centers in the state. We spoke to some of the respondents there, and they say they performed their functions and they got the services there free. And then we also saw some of the infrastructure development going on. But just like some other states that build some of this infrastructure, how do you plan to sustain that tempo after now?
I think what we must understand, first of all, is that our free health program is within the total system of the APA Segmona program. We have been able to build processes. Let me give you an example. One of the very important outcomes of our system is that we've been able to beat down the cost of service. Because one of the nightmares people have when you talk of free health services is the cost itself. I tell you, for example, that the cost of taking care of a pregnant woman, when we started our free health program, that is from pregnancy to delivery, in that normal delivery, cesarean section, average was about 6,500. Because of improved efficiency, because we keep improving, and again because of renewed confidence in our health system, women come early before complications set in. I said now we are hovering around 3,500 to 400 or to 4,000 to take care of the pregnant. And as we proceed, for example, in one center we've done about 30,000 deliveries in 4 years with exceedingly almost incredible outcome. And we are seeing more patients.
Are there foreign doctors also?
They are all Nigerian doctors. So we are seeing a high volume of patients. But the cost of care is going down gradually. Why I'm saying this is that to be able to sustain it, the first thing is that you must put a system in place, a system that is functional, a system that is responsive. For example, let me say, if, for example, the cost of care for a pregnant woman, including cesarean section free of charge, is about 3,000 or 2,500. For a 1 million taxable adults. That translates to less than 200 naira per annum to be able to sustain that. So you must look at this within the context of the cost of care itself. For example, I can tell you that within 4 years of the free health program, out of drug syndrome is close to 0%. Again, because we have a system in place. We can measure, we can track, we can audit very easily. For example, we have what they call the PAC system. If, for example, in the pharmacy, the whole totality of the cost of what you need for a cesarean section is under 10,000 naira. And we give you in packs. What that means is that if you have 10 packs with you, we expect that if you have 10 cesarean sections. As a matter of fact, we've gotten a step for what we call a sub-bid finance. When I talked about 4,000, for example, if I give you 40,000, I'm expecting 10 liabilities. You know what I'm talking about? We measure that outcome, and at the end of the day, we build an efficiency, incredible efficiency, and the outcomes have been incredible. For example, in our centers, even the facility-based antenatal mortality ratio, which has that woman with die in pregnancy, they are getting figures as exciting as 100, 143, 163, 100,000. This points in only one direction. That yes, infrastructure in terms of gigantic good-looking buildings, but more important is the system that is put in place. It is our system that will be a factor of sustainability. Another factor of sustainability that people are so used to this quality of care. In those states now, it is already taken for granted that you're pregnant, you have access to quality care. And we're not saying because it's free to reduce the quality. Again, the buy-in of the populace is another very important. It's our ability